Welcome to Bridging the Realms, a place where we ground cosmic wisdom into physical embodiment. Get ready to explore deep esoteric truths and the raw messiness of the human experience, because here we are about integration and not bypassing.
Through Marston's psychic channeling and multidimensional mediumship, Lauren's astrological wisdom and clinical expertise, we explore the edges and expand our consciousness into new realms of understanding. So grab your tea or a glass of wine and relax as you come to the remembrance of who you truly are. Well, we were just talking about the energy feeling very heavy and like a lot of purging energy with this new moon in Virgo. Curious to see anyone listening if you felt this since, I guess it would be Friday, Saturday, depending where you were on the world. Wow, words. But Marcia and I
they're hard today.
Just slower and in our feels. And I was just about to say, I'm curious if we're entering into eclipse season, and eclipse season usually has a little bit more of like high anxiety, but I almost feel like because this eclipse season is such a massive one, it's the only one where we have a lunar eclipse in Pisces with the nodes in Pisces and Virgo. The only one, because last eclipse season with the lunar eclipse in Pisces, the nodes were still in Libra and Aries. And then in the winter, they're going to be, or the next fall, they're going to be in Aquarius and Leo. So this specific eclipse season is so massive that I'm wondering if the energy is like purge, like I've been saying, like clear channel. And so since we have 2 weeks, if it's like the 2 weeks we're going into is literally prepping us to be in that mindset, if that makes sense. I don't know.
100%. Yeah. And I'm curious, when you say that the nodes are going to be in Pisces, like, and that feels significant, what is the significance of the nodes also being there?
So where the nodes are is really the energy that the collective is focusing on. And because eclipses are basically full or new moons on steroids, I cannot say.
I know. That's me too.
Having the eclipses with the nodes is going to exaggerate the Pisces archetype and the Virgo archetype. Specifically Pisces, because we're talking about lunar eclipse in Pisces. And so when the lunar eclipse was in Pisces last fall, the North Node was still in Aries. So there was an Aries flare on it. It wasn't full Pisces, even though the moon was in Pisces. Does that make sense? So there's still very much an Aries with the moon. But this lunar eclipse in Pisces is fully Pisces. The North Node's there and the moon's there. And so it's like exaggerating that archetype. And then the next time we have it, I believe the nodes are going to be in Aquarius and Leo.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. And fully correlates to like what we're talking about in terms of how we're feeling. Like Lauren and I were both just saying, like, there's been so much, even with her husband too, but like a lot coming up with like purging, releasing. It's emotional. It's, like anxiety. There's like patterns that are surfacing in big ways. And it's funny, like we both got on this call and she was like, my energy is just so not here. Like I've had a day, and I was like, I'm so glad you said that, because me too. It's like everything is just so aligned across the board. And I'm noticing this in my client sessions too. It feels like all these patterns are surfacing in really obvious ways. And there is like this collective purge kind of taking place right now. And I can't help but feel like I keep saying this for clients too. And I started to be like, man, am I like making this up? Because it's happening for so many people. But this feeling of there being like on like this precipice kind of happening right now, where there's like a lot on the other side of this. There's a lot of momentum happening. Though the tornado from the Wizard of Oz keeps coming up in sessions, which is interesting. Like it's showing me everything in their life or my life or our life, whatever, being picked up as debris and like being spun around and then spit out. And then it's Technicolor, but like everything has to like be spinning around in this vortex first. And that's how I feel right now. And I know like, it's just interesting because that's how my clients have been feeling too.
No, literally. I went through the whole like, so I'm launching my cohort for my mentorship soon. And I'm like, am I even good enough at astrology? Should I even teach astrology? What if I'm letting my clients like I was spiraling this weekend and I'm like, whoa, like I've been steadfast on this journey. And why am I self-doubting? But it's because I feel like I needed to look at any of that doubt that was still in me to like fully get out of me that chaos so I can see clearly.
Let's bring it to the surface so you can see it clearly. Like you're going to hate it, but we're going to bring it to the surface. Like that is fully the energy. And it's interesting. Like Lauren and I were just talking about this. I took myself out to I'm in Spain right now. I took myself out to a flamenco show last night, and like, it was not in any way, shape, or form like a wild night out on the town. I took myself to dinner. I had a few drinks, like I enjoyed the show. But I was telling Lauren, like I came home and it was like everything just needed to be purged out of me. Like these emotions were coming to the surface about this entire chapter that I have been in, that I can feel myself leaving behind and stepping into this new one. And it was like everything is surfacing. And it's interesting. I'm a Virgo rising, and with this like Virgo new moon and just the Virgo rising, like just it's about the physical, being in the physical body, the physical experience. I was telling Lauren, like I ended up throwing up at like 2 a.m. And it was so weird because I was like, what? Like, I haven't done this in a long time. Like, what's going on with my body? But it's all these things that have kind of been festering that are like just coming up and asking to be recognized in a different way, asking to be rewritten. Like they can't come with me into this next chapter.
So real. And
yeah,
you know, you hear about plant medicine, like how, like ayahuasca, I've never done it, but like how you physically purge like all the toxicity in your body. And with the South Node in Virgo and with the new moon in Virgo, and Virgo truly wants to purify anything. It's just such an interesting synchronicity of you literally purging. My husband, same thing, the night of the new moon, purged, which was very ironic. And I was like, wait, you guys are both Virgo risings. Like it is a physical manifestation of, I feel like, the energy right now.
Oh my God, 100%. And again, it's just nice to know that we have this cosmic validation and like permission slip of like, okay, I'm not the only one experiencing this. He's not the only one experiencing this. Like it's quite literally written in the stars. This is all happening the way it's supposed to. Yeah. And it's here to make room.
Yeah. And even just like, I was like, wow, mine's the 12th house. But I literally posted a video being like, I'm just wanting to avoid everything. And that is literally 12th house, escapism, like avoidance, being isolated. And like, I haven't responded to my friends in weeks. Like I just left people on red for the last week. And I was like, I'll get to them, you know? And someone commented, was like, dude, I have the same placements as you. I'm feeling that. So it's so just sitting here. I'm like, oh my God, duh. This is fascinating.
I know. It's making so much sense. Well, and it's interesting because the new moon hit my 12th house. It was the 0 degrees. Right. And that was my 12th house. So like going into my first house, which is interesting that like this would be such a mirror. But yeah, it is just interesting. I am seeing like people across the board talking more about like, okay, I feel like something's coming. I feel like these changes are happening. Also, it's interesting. Like I'm noticing more people are asking me about, they're like, you know, I've been interested to hear more about like life after death. And like, I'm kind of open now. I wasn't really before. I had Lauren, the clients that usually find me, are like kind of on the same page as me in many respects. Like they're already like very into all of this. But it's interesting. I had 2 sessions today with people who both told me that they were kind of skeptics. And like, there was something that like kind of stood out in my energy and my videos with what I talk about. And they were like, yeah, I don't know why I feel weird about this. Like but I feel like I need to have this session with you. And it's so cool to me and interesting at the same time, because I feel like more people are starting to get curious about like what these other dimensions or realms of existence are. This one woman today was asking about like, if she'll be able to still talk with her kids. Her birthday's next week. She turns 60 and she's like, you know, I'm just starting to think about things like this. And like, if I'll be able to talk to my kids when I die, like how this works. Can I still see them? Can I still be a part of their lives? And I love these types of questions because yes, like we don't actually go anywhere. Right. But we've never been taught this. We've never been taught the truth about
No.
who like our true multidimensional nature. And so I think it's really cool because she also asked about, she was like, you also talk about like even extraterrestrial beings or interdimensional beings. And I'm super curious about how that plays into this. And it was just so cool for me to get to hear someone who I could tell she felt like kind of silly and nervous, like asking about this. Um, but she felt safe enough with me to do it, which I thought was incredible. And I'm just noticing, it's just interesting how there's kind of an uptick of people that wouldn't necessarily be super into this or open to this before, but they're kind of like, okay, I'm seeing a lot of things happen in my life and in the world that are kind of tipping the scale this way. I'm curious about this now, but I'm still treading lightly.
Yeah. Until end of September. No,
Until
I'm just kidding. Until everyone's like, wow.
And I'm like,
No,
oh, well, you booked at the right time.
literally. But you know, it reminds me of how everyone online is like, they knew this was coming. Like
Yeah.
and I think you said it was on the last episode. I don't know if we've shared it yet, but like they have the looking glass technology. They have
Yes.
the astrology. They have the interdimensional. Like they knew.
Well, and specify they.
Like Mr. Global, whoever
Yeah.
is running.
Like we're talking right now about like the powers that be that are like operating behind the curtain.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Truly.
continue.
Not who you think is operating. It's other people.
Right.
But
Yep.
yes. And just like having, I also keep seeing that people are like, who are they? And it's like, they are hidden in plain sight, which is magical for them, but they are there. Like
they're there. Yep. And I mean, it's interesting because like, I'm sure you've seen so much come out about Palantir, however you say that.
Palantir. Yeah.
Palantir. Yeah. Again, words today, just not happening. But all of this, like coming out with, like they've been using our data this whole time. They've been watching us. They know our habits. This goes so far beyond like, and I think that people don't understand because we were never taught, once again, how multidimensional we are. We were never taught that we can be manipulated on a consciousness level through other planes of existence.
Mm-hmm.
Like they have the technology to plant dreams in our subconscious so that we have like there is software out there for creating advertisements in our dreams so that our subconscious thinks that we want to buy a product. Like that's what we're talking about here. They can't like they not only watch your algorithm, your TikTok, how much time you spend doing XYZ, what you're spending your credit cards on, like everything is monitored. And people wonder how their sovereignty could be taken from them or how they could miss stepping into their sovereignty, which it's like, it's so much, it's hidden in plain sight. Like if you're not careful, if you're living your life unconscious and blindly hitting subscribe and going off of what you're fed, the control narratives. There's a woman on TikTok, not to go on another rant, but who is AI, but people think she's a real woman. And she's talking about how Trump was not involved with Epstein. And like, there's proof out there about this, but like, she's AI. And like, this is happening. Like there is so much of this. People don't know how to use discernment. So they're trusting whatever information matches their belief system, regardless. And right. I mean, sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking like, the research that came out about AI is it decreases your brain activity by 60% in teens who are using it. 60. The critical thinking of, wait, is this real or not real? When you see a TikTok video is just going out the window. Keep going. So it makes sense why people are like not realizing, clocking it.
Yeah. I mean, and that is alarming to say the least. But that is what's happening here. Like if we're not careful, we're literally merging with synthetic technology. We're merging with what really is sentient and has the potential to become conscious. And like, if we're giving away our power too much, then it itself almost becomes a new God. If we're giving away our power and our sovereignty to something outside of ourselves to do the work for us or to give us the answers or to give us the information, and we rely on it for everything to the point where we never question anything and we don't actually open our eyes to ask, why am I feeling like I want to make this decision? Like, they can get into your psyche in those ways. They can infiltrate and plant something in you. And it's up to, no one has power over us outside of ourselves. This is like not a fear. This is not to like instill fear. It's more so just to be aware of like what we're dealing with here on a collective level.
Yeah. And I think kind of to loop back around is they knew this time was coming where more and more souls were going to wake up, which is why the suppression of
Mm-hmm.
everything is so severe right now. The fake information,
Yeah.
the suppression of views, the suppression of even healers, like people who aren't even talking about it aren't getting views because they know,
Yeah.
like, the class war. If we are not making money, if we are not exchanging goods for one another, bartering with one another, like we are all going to be sick, isolated, and depressed. So we can't work against the system as we are awakening.
Yeah.
And another way I'm seeing it, and I actually brought this up last episode around like the psyop of Western astrology and the
Yeah.
whatever. I'm seeing it from such a different view over the last few weeks because everyone's coming out to talking about sidereal, like Vedic versus Western tropical. Like
Mhm.
it is a mass topic right now on TikTok. I don't know if you've seen it,
I have
but
seen, yeah, I've been seeing a lot of it.
yeah. And what I intuitively am feeling is now we're choosing what is right and what is wrong. Oh, this is more accurate. This is better. And it's like they're completely different systems. They're also
Mm-hmm.
completely different cultural systems. I saw this person on TikTok last night and it blew my mind. He was like, you're not going to go up to a painter and be like, how do you feel about watercolors when they use like I don't know,
Right.
pastels. And I'm like, oh my
Mm-hmm.
God, 100%. It's different. But now there's this rhetoric, well, you're not accurate then, or you're not this, and the stars aren't here. And now there's questioning this ancient way that we have explored humanity for so long. And now there's a question around that. And I'm like, this is them infiltrating, I feel like, because now people are questioning what's right, what's better when they're both just is,
Mm,
if that makes sense.
yeah. Oh, it makes perfect sense. And I think you're spot on with this because and this is what I talk about. I actually talked about this on my live TikTok uh, yesterday. Today's Monday. Yeah. And it's the same thing that I've mentioned before about like how if we if we take absolutely everything one person or one entity says as absolute truth, that becomes indoctrination. And that is how we have been conditioned to operate, like through religion, through capitalistic society, the patriarchy, through our schooling systems, right? Like we've been taught there is one way or there is an answer, the right answer. And so when we see information like this coming out, it's kind of our programming to say like, okay, well, I can't handle it if there is no absolute truth. I can't handle it if multiple things can be true at the same time because that defies everything that I've been told to be true and that I've learned. Like life is linear, right? Life is linear. This is the path. This is yes, no, okay. And it's structured. But that's not actually how life works. And so I think this is kind of that what you and I have talked a lot about with the ontological shock component of learning all this new information and having all of our belief systems having to be reevaluated as new information comes into our awareness. Because it is so true. Like multiple things can be true at the same time. But like, and this is the thing that people get into is like, I notice it all the time I'm talking about extraterrestrials, right? They're fallen angels, they're demons. And it's like, okay, there are malevolent extraterrestrials 100%, but looping everything into one category like is so easy to do. That's what the system wants us to do, is to just slap labels on everything, genres, categories. That would be like saying all of humanity is benevolent or
Mhm.
all of humanity is malevolent. Like we have both here. We are
Mhm.
everything, we are both.
Everything. Yeah.
So I mean it's wild because I love that you brought that up because I'm seeing it across the board. Like I had someone even on my live yesterday comment saying that psychic abilities are not real, and he was like telling me I was in spiritual psychosis for like talking about having psychic abilities and mediumship. And it's like, that's the sad part, is like how little we would think of ourselves to think that we're not capable of experiencing anything beyond our five physical senses,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah. And I feel like labeling, oh, you're spiritual psychosis. I'm seeing that everywhere in people's comments. And creators were like,
Totally.
I'm in
People throw it
psychosis
around.
because I'm fighting against a system, because I believe I'm God, because I'm unraveling all these ancient texts. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's such an interesting time. And I guess it's just, I'm kind of like sitting, processing all this information as things out there, people are getting more and more in the illusion
Yes.
that they're being fed. Other people are really stepping back and we're
It's
purging so
clear.
much. Yes, very clear, very much
Mm-hmm.
war
Mm-hmm.
mentality, the consciousness. And
Yes.
it does come back to they're here to help wake us up. But if you're a baby kind of stepping your toes in this, it would be really fucking
A
hard and confusing.
baby. I know. I know. I know. I mean, it's so true because we don't know if you're asleep. Do you know that you're asleep?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and there, yes, there's lucid dreaming, which involves a certain level of consciousness anyway. But to even access that, but like the people out there who are operating in the programming and in like the blind conditioning, they're never taking the time to look up or look within, really, because and it's easy. It's so easy to do, and it shouldn't have to take like a massive event to become conscious, to become more conscious, to expand more. But oftentimes it does, and so it's like, okay, what do you do with that now? And I think it's like it is just human nature to try to lean into what naturally feels comfortable and makes sense, right? Like we build these cardboard realities for ourselves, and if something comes and knocks it over, like, oh my gosh, we have to put the cardboard back up as soon as possible, like because I don't feel safe knowing that there could be something else out there that I'm not currently aware of, because that would push me to that would make me question everything.
Your belief
And so
systems,
it's interesting.
reality.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
And it makes me think about, okay, she's great. The rebellion on TikTok when she just gets on and just like goes. And you sent me one of her videos, and it was
Which
around
one is
how
she again?
the one that like she was like, get rid of me when I pluck my mole. You know
Oh
that video?
yeah. Yeah. I love that girl. She's crashing out like but in the best way. Like and she's just authentic as hell and I love that.
Yes. And she can name, genuinely has gone through mental health disorders and is like,
Yes. Yes.
and actually went through spiritual psychosis, names it that, calls it that, but is also is grounded
Mm-hmm.
now and is like, I see it clearly.
Yes.
But one of her videos, and it's the one you sent me that I was like, dude, I saw this, when she deconstructed from the Mormon church. And she was like, everyone
Yeah.
wanted to wear Uggs and everyone wanted to wear this. And I was like, why? And she was like, this is crazy. And I was like, it's so real though, that
Mm-hmm.
we want to conform so bad as children because we're tribal beings, that we
Mm-hmm.
don't want to be rejected from the tribe, that we construct what is natural, even if it goes against our innate being. And then we get so
Yeah.
used to it that then it's normal, that we want the shiny car. We want this
Mm-hmm.
instead of having a garden in the back and growing food, which would really fulfill us, than a shiny new object in the front. But we're told the shiny new
Yeah.
object. It's really interesting.
Exactly. Exactly. And I mean, I actually talk about this a lot in my book too, with my own childhood and dealing with some of this stuff of like, okay, I felt more connected as a child. I remember feeling like I I was frustrated that I like couldn't see through the walls or move objects with my mind. Like it just felt like something I should be able to do. And I couldn't identify why, but there was no one in my life that I could talk to about it like without being gaslit, unintentionally of course, but like my classmate, I learned how to be a normal classmate. I learned how to not be bullied. I learned how to survive. And I think that's unfortunately like such a common theme for us because it all starts in childhood. Like we can trace all of this back to childhood and how like the garden thing, right? Like it's you feel intuitively pulled towards something, but you then learn the right behavior, and then you learn, oh well, that's too much work or that's too difficult or too expensive, and then you start learning all these programs that really don't belong to you in the first place, but that are being like kind of fed down your throat in many ways. So then you just adapt to those behaviors and you take them with you into adulthood until you become conscious of them and can change them and say like, wait a minute, just because I was taught all of this to be true and just because I was forced to read all these textbooks to pass these exams doesn't mean that this is the way it's supposed to be. Right? It's like when people talk about like, I mean, there's so many things that we could talk about here, but like That's if for anything about violence or war or like assault, it's like, yeah, I mean, that's the world isn't fair. That's just the way it is. And it's like, okay, just because that's the way things are done or that's the way it is does not make it okay. Like we shouldn't just roll over and accept that because we're just perpetuating it.
And it's not the way it is in other countries.
No.
So it's like, it's actually not human behavior. It is because we are sick. It is because we are sad. We are depressed, and we are literally acting out, and they don't know how to control. Like it's the way the brain works, and they know that
the animals are out of control. The zoo animals. I mean, that's like you and I talk about this all the time, right? Because this is something I said, I think in one of the first times we met, but it is so true. We are in a collective psychosis. Like this is the cult, what we were brought up in. and that creates like anyway, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, and if you didn't and say your parents were more conscious to it, then you were weird.
Totally. Yes. An outcast and not accepted, not able to succeed within the system.
And I'm almost wondering if we're like just feeling this collective, not just individually purging our own, because obviously we are a mirror to the collective consciousness. And I feel like maybe we're just really tapped into the collective right now. We're all purging, and we're purging this sadness and this grief of like, I literally can feel it right now of like the fact that our childhood to adulthood and also our parents, their whole life down here was a program. Like that is
a program. It is devastating. It's profoundly devastating. I mean, and this is the thing. It's interesting. So do you know the telepathy tapes? Love them. They had posted a TikTok because they had just finished filming something in Chicago, a movie in Chicago for next year. But Kai Dickens was being interviewed, and she said, like, what we found out. She didn't go in to say what it was, but she was like, what we found out was profoundly devastating. And I have a feeling, because it's like the non-speaker is the autists who are like giving this information about like how the hill, they found out the hill is undeniably true. There are other dimensions, realms, densities of consciousness. Like these places are real. These beings are real. Telepathy is real. Psychic abilities are real. And what my initial hit was when I heard profoundly devastating was just these people are showing us how much has truly been kept from us intentionally about the truth of who we really are, our own multidimensional nature, our own abilities, and how all of this was constructed to kind of keep us under control, kind of locked under certain states of consciousness to live out a specified blueprint or a manipulated blueprint, if you will. And that she didn't confirm that. Like, so this was just my gut feeling. I was like, I just have this feeling that this is about how every single one of us is capable of all of these abilities, is capable of creating our own reality, is capable of connecting with each other on a telepathic basis, on an energetic language, to like, we are far more powerful than we've been taught to believe. And so when she said that, it came through so clearly. I was like, this is disclosure too. Like, this is disclosure. This is how we do this. This is how we do this, because it's not going to be like mainstream media pushing out a certain narrative, hitting X amount of people like people think disclosure is. It's like the proof is out there. The proof is out there. It's not going to be dropped off for you on your doorstep. Like, you have to do the work to find it and to like do the inner work, because it's all an inner process. We don't really change the world we're in. We change our perception of our world. And then that emits a different vibration into the unified field, into the quantum field, that then informs other people, right, in the field of this higher frequency, of this higher timeline, even if it's just subconscious. That's how the world changes. So it's like the more that we can keep looking inward, the more that we can keep going through these processes on our own, but also like knowing that we're not alone, right? But it is all within, the more we can actually expand this and extend this reach.
So much, just like, I was like, okay, so where do I begin? In the sense of just, because the human me, and this is where like we're spiritual beings and human experience. I don't know how many times I fucking heard that, or I say that because it's real, but like the human me is like, it's devastating that, and especially, you know, how I was a mental health therapist for so long, and I was in these homes watching literally with my physical eyes children being abused because
Yeah.
the systems had collapsed during COVID and they couldn't get
Mm-hmm.
removed. And so I had to go in and put a Band-Aid over it. It was fucking devastating. But that's nowhere near watching an entire population being destroyed, genocide,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Oh
So
my
it's like
God. Yeah.
the level of pain that humans experience for these people to continue to have power is
Mm-hmm.
like it's, you can't even conceptualize it, right? Like, it's disgusting. There's no other word, like there's no words to describe. But then the other
It's
part of me,
barbaric.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other, that's like such a human thing. And then the other
Mm-hmm.
part of me is sitting here like, okay, then the spiritual part comes in. And it's not to bypass this because this is real. But like you're saying, we are multidimensional beings living this experience. And when we die, we go back to creation. Like, it's weird concept. And like you said earlier, people are interesting about afterlife because it's like, this is such a real experience. But then we also are like these
Yeah.
magical beings that then we pass on and we can see it clearly. I don't know. Like, I is it like, I can't remember
The
the word.
dichotomy,
Yeah.
the
And I
duality.
ostracize, or like,
Oh, oscillate.
oscillate, thank you,
Yeah.
through both those experiences all the time. Is like, but then we're spiritual beings and we're on this path and we know it, so how are
Yeah.
we going to break it? And the new paradigm's here and this is amazing. And then it's also like, oh my God, this is devastating.
Oh my God. I know, Lauren. I mean, this is so hard. This is so hard because, and this is what I talk about, like I mentioned earlier too, at one point about like the gray hybridization programs, the abductions, and like it actually pulls in perfectly to this because some people will argue that like, okay, well, this was a soul contract made on a higher level. So therefore we knew when we came into these bodies that we would be going through really shitty times, that bad things would happen. So we knew this, we agreed to this. And like, so you just need to deal with it. And like, this is all a part of the process. You're helping for this specific example, right? Like you're helping a species that you agreed to help. And on the other hand, it's like, okay, so let's say that this is all true, right? Like you agreed on a higher level soul contracts. And this is something I fully believe in, soul contracts and like higher level agreements as a medium. But I also have learned in my own experience, because I used to be of that camp too. I used to think like really up until last year, yeah, this was a higher level agreement. It's all happening the way it's supposed to. I know it's like trauma is terrible and XYZ, right? But we agreed to this. But now I've learned more information. I've had more experiences, and I've kind of reshaped my own belief systems about, okay, where does sovereignty come into play? Like, where does our own agency come into play here? Because if somebody kidnaps you here on Earth and it like abducts you, brings you into their home, assaults you, or just like uses your genetics, right? And they say, well, we actually have a soul contract in place for this. We agreed to this before we incarnated. Are you supposed to, like, they still took you with like against, you didn't have the option to agree to that, right? And like, where does agency and free will come into play here? Because like, and this is such a big conversation. I know that's such a specific example, and people are like, well, these are advanced beings. And it's like, yeah, that doesn't make them gods. That doesn't give them the right to make decisions on your behalf. The benevolent beings will respect your free will and never take you for genetics unless it's something that you do consciously agree to. And anyway, that's like one thing,
But I think
right?
that
But
mirrors to the human experience, whether it's child abuse, mass
yes,
genocide, like it doesn't matter which way you package it. That's still taking
it's the
advantage
same
of someone's free will.
conversation.
Yeah.
It is. And it's like, okay, yes, like we knew coming into the human experience that there were certain variables at play here. Like we knew that we did have free will. We knew that we have free will on a soul level. Granted, there are certain, I mean, I don't know like how much you get into here, but it might be a separate conversation. But like there are patterns that we're here to express and play out. And the way that those get physically manifested in our reality is dependent upon the series of probabilities that we actualize through free will. So it's interesting. I was just having a conversation with a client about this a little bit. She was asking about, she works at a restaurant, and she was like, there's a specific place in the restaurant that I always receive downloads. And like, I feel like I get psychic information when I'm in this specific spot. Like, can you see what that is? And the way it was shown to me, it was really cool because it was kind of this, I have this right here, but like the like lines of latitude and longitude of like the electromagnetic field, right? And how we have our external realities are just holographic projections of our consciousness. So we're creating it as we go. And so it was interesting. It was shown to me like this restaurant, it really didn't matter if this was a restaurant, if she was a waitress, it really didn't matter what she chose to do. This point, this nexus point, this convergence point of like giving her this information, her soul like remembered this point, she was going to experience this either way. Regardless of if she chose to take the job at that restaurant or not, it would present itself in another way. Mm. And so it was really cool to see this play out because it's like, yes, there are patterns that we're here. You can't miss what's truly meant for you. If you're meant to meet certain people, you're meant to experience certain things, like that's going to happen. But it's like a lot of the in-between stuff that's like kind of up for debate. Like there's kind of like a set of different paths that can play out. So it's like, yes, we have a certain amount of things that we're here to experience no matter what. And we are sovereign souls. Like we shouldn't just roll over because something happened and that's like, oh, that's just the way it is. Like we're fully responsible for creating the world in which we live. And so like, why are we like where, so like, let's, I just feel strongly about this. Like, let's reclaim this power, this sovereignty over ourselves.
Yeah. And like, I think everyone has the free will to change their behavior. So if I'm like, what I'm thinking about is just like a child getting abused, because this is a very unfortunate experience in our society. Yeah. That parent did not have to abuse the child. No. They could have had the conscious awareness to go heal their shit and do that. Mm-hmm. And it makes me think about astrology, because I get a lot of clients who are like, I'm really scared. Like, I'm like, why are you scared? Like, they think I'm going to be a fortune teller, that I'm going to tell them I'm going to die, that they're never going to get married. And I'm like, no, and it's funny because now the verbiage that you use is a great way to put it, is like, there's a probability on what's going to experience based off of your astrology chart. There's a shadow aspect and there's a more empowered aspect. So say you have a Scorpio moon. Unfortunately, a lot of them had abusive parents because their parents had a lot of trauma that was not dealt with. But if their parents or mom decided to be more conscious of it, then they actually had a very emotionally intuitive mom. So it's all dependent on how that energy is going to be expressed, the probability of it. But no one can say by looking at a chart, this is going to happen, because there's free will within that. And so it's kind of like what you're saying is like, yeah, there's contracts, but that contract can express 1,000 million different ways, totally, depending on everyone's free will of how they're going to act.
100%. That is exactly it. That's exactly it. And so it's like, okay, this specific event, like it didn't have to actually play out that way. It did. And so it was meant to happen because it did. Right. It did. But, and so like that goes back to, we can't control what happens to us. We certainly can't control what other people do or how they treat us, but we are in full control, and it is our responsibility to determine how we move forward and what we do with that information. Because it is information for us, and we cannot control what happens to us. Trauma, no trauma. If it's whether it's like just a friend treating you badly or a parent abusing you or anything else that happens, like it's so important, I feel, to like actually process those feelings, process the trauma of it, feel like a victim, do whatever you need to do to really be there for yourself and heal. And it happened. So where are you going to take your life now? What are you going to like, what are you going to choose next at the next nexus point, at the next node? Like, what's the timeline that you're choosing?
And, statistically, if you're abused, you have a higher shot of abusing your children. And it's because the saying you say, you hit subscribe. You just, the karmic loop that we are all looping in on a collective level that I like in my bones know that we've broken and are currently breaking. Right. But that definitely, since we are all mirrors, all the traumas that happened in our childhood, in our homes and our parents' homes, and generational trauma happen on a collective level. And we're seeing that. And that's why we're re-seeing the genocide happen. Genocides have been happening. We just haven't been televised. This is very much televised, and it's a very century long conflict. But yeah, so it's like we are actively breaking the karmic loop, I guess. Like, and this is so interesting we're talking about this, because we were just talking about like the prison and the karmic loop that we were meant to be in, and it all loops together.
Yes, it always does, right? Like that's what I love about these sessions together, because this is what I do with my client sessions too. It's like, if we try to structure it too much, there's going to be something from left field that is trying to come in. It's going to change the trajectory of the whole thing, which as it's meant to do. So I love this because like it does all completely loop together. You know, and I keep thinking about like what was coming to me was just the aspect of war, and how like we've been in such a patriarchal run world and society, and we've been taught that war needs to happen. Like it needs to be us versus them. We need to be better, or we need the resources. And it's like, it doesn't have to be this way. Like war is actually not necessary. It never was. Never. But like they made it that way. They made it that way.
100%. One night, my husband and I were gardening, and when it's legal here.
So when you said that, it took me a minute, because I was like, I didn't know you had a green thumb.
But I do. I started a garden this year, and it's
I love that.
I learned so much, and I'm so excited to get a house where I can actually, they're in pots this year, but that's a whole nother story.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
So we're going on this web, and this is what we like to do is he likes to ask me questions about spirituality, and then he calls it high education. And then I educate him on what I know. And we got on this topic of war, and I was like, he said that. He goes, no, we need to for resources. I go, no, because we all have resources. Every land has resources that the other person need. So if we just equalized, nature is abundant. Everything on this planet comes from the earth. She will provide for us. If no one was greedy and everyone just understood what goes out comes back, we wouldn't need war. And he's like, we solved world peace. And I was like, I think everyone consciously understands this, but we've been programmed out of it.
Yeah, we've been programmed to think that it can't exist. Like, oh, well, it's not realistic. Oh, last I checked, realistic depends on your belief systems. So if you believe something to be unrealistic, then you're not going to see a way there. There's the probability of experiencing that timeline is very small. And if we are there on a collective level where the whole collective is convinced that it's not realistic, or that this is just the way it is, then we're going to keep perpetuating that cycle. Mm-hmm. You're exactly right. Like Mother Earth will always provide for us. And this is what I talk about in wealth consciousness too. Money is just a form of energy. It's just a frequency, like all the relationships in our lives. And there's always enough. Like if money is just an energy, just like everything else here, the system's man-made, but we can tap into that energy of abundance, because money is just a form of abundance, which comes in many, many forms. So if we remember, oh my God, our divine right as beings of this planet, as beings of the cosmos, is to have everything taken care of, is to have all of the resources we need, all of whatever we need, right? To be full, to be whole, because that is who we are at our core level. If we remembered that, I want to say, if we remembered that, we wouldn't be living this way, but we've been so manipulated and so imprisoned, so now this is where we're going, I guess is my point.
Yeah. And I think, to further the conversation my husband and I had, I was like, and it loops to this conversation completely, is the leaders of the countries who are dispelling the narratives to keep us programmed. Because he said to me, well, it's been generations. And I go, okay, so what if a leader said, hey guys, let's forgive each other. Let's heal. Yeah. Let's no longer fight. If we had leaders in place that said that, I feel 99% sure everyone would be like, you know what? Let's stop fighting, because that would feel so much better. No one wants it. Mm-hmm. No, but instead we have the egomaniac leaders who are creating us to be in scarcity of like, we need to have power and we need that and we're in danger and that then the collective has subscribed and agreed to it, when it's like, we just need people to say, hey, put our guards down. Let's heal. Let's literally heal the generational trauma so we can feel safe with one another.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I mean, unfortunately, it's like you see all these, there are women too, but like the majority men just being like, yeah, war, like we need to go to war. And it's like the unhealed masculine energy is just it's so present and it's so insidious, and it needs war to almost feel safe because it needs to prove something to itself. And it's interesting. It's like, I've been seeing this a lot with matriarchy versus patriarchy, and how like the first argument is, well, what about the men? Like if matriarchy is just all about women, and it's like, that's the first thing that's wrong here, because the reason you think that way is because that's how the patriarchy operates. So your initial reaction when you hear matriarchy is to think it would be completely reversed. Mm-hmm. Which, like, that should illustrate the entire problem right there. A matriarchy is just centered around, it recognizes women as inherent guides, inherent leaders, stewards of divine wisdom, of like the storytelling, of the care and the nurturing. It just focuses on the family. It focuses on caring for the entire tribe, men included. Like men are significantly happier in a matriarchal society. Mm-hmm. But the toxic masculinity would not be, because they would think that something was being taken from them, even though they would actually be able to rest. They would actually be able to be at peace for likely the first time in their lives
and feel valued.
Yes.
And I think I want to say this without, okay, I'm just going to say it because I got to filter it out. I'm an external processor. It's like, women hold the womb that connects us to other realms. There's just no denying that, right?
Exactly.
So having us valued instead of torn down constantly in the current system would innately make everyone healthier, because the men still come through the mother. Like everyone comes through the mother, whether you're female or male, or in between, right? Like literally. And so it's like the woman's body does need to feel safe. And in the patriarchy, we don't feel safe. And from the moment we conceive, there is a level of, especially now, anticipatory trauma or fear or all of it with the medical system. And like, I can speak for America, we are one of the leading causes of maternal death during birth, and Black women are 3 times higher than white women. That should never be the thing with all of our technology. Like, it's just mind boggling. And so it's just whether you're, that's my rant.
I mean, it's true. It's true. They don't care about the women. Like it's been made so brutally and painstakingly apparent. And I think that's what you mentioned, just with the womb connection, like the sacred womb portal. People forget everyone comes from the woman. Like this is what it is. Like we are meant to be cared for and taken care of. And this is also like, this is why we see so much disease festering in women's reproductive systems. And like there's miscarriages, there's like all these problems that happen because of the lack of care, the lack of safety. The root is all over the place because the root doesn't feel safe, supported, or secure in the way that it's supposed to. And men don't know how to, for the most part, I won't speak for all of them, but they were never taught how to properly care for women in this process. We were never taught that. We were never taught about our own bodies or what we need. Like, so this is just, there's so much here in this conversation. I mean, this could be its own like separate podcast.
Yeah.
I'm reading a book right now, or listening to a book called In the Flow. Let me see. I'm blanking on the name of the author. Oh, Alyssa Vitti. And it's about operating on the infradian rhythm versus the circadian rhythm, which I never learned what the infradian rhythm is. but it's the natural cycle rhythm for women. And like how the foods that we eat are meant to be intuitive and cyclical. And like she even talks about in biology how we were taught the sperm like being so powerful and choosing the egg, right? And it's like, no, the egg magnetizes the sperm to her. She chooses.
And she kills other sperm that gets there first.
Yes.
Like, no, bitch, I don't want you.
Yes. Not you. Yeah, exactly. But we were never taught that, obviously.
No, I mean, this is such a juicy topic, and everything I have learned through my own pregnancy, I have been mind blown on.
I'm sure.
And it goes even to that trend that was going around of women who men were all up in arms. If you saw a bear or a man in the woods, what would you be more scared of? And most people said men. And I know people who actually have created a lot of conflict around this. Men were very triggered. And it's like this goes centuries long. This is a trauma that's in our bodies of being taken advantage of. It's not personal. And I think if men realized it's not personal to them, the ego, if they let it set aside and say, let me zoom out, let me see for centuries, let me see for cultures, what's currently going on to that identity, maybe we could get somewhere. But because they get so triggered and make it so personal, we don't ever get anywhere.
I mean, it's so true. And I think about like how men were actually taught to hate women from such a young age in the tiny actions that they were told to take, right? Like, be a man, don't cry. They attributed female attributes to being weak, to being something, to be anything but. They were basically taught to be anything. They were never taught to be a man. They were taught not to be a woman. Which, if you think about like how that gets instilled in the psyche and the subconscious, it's like, oh, I reject anything that could possibly resemble this divine feminine energy, right? But I'm attracted to women and sex and power. And like, it's interesting because like there's so much here about like how men will choose women according to like what other men would think or how other men would perceive them. And it's like, it's all for men. It's men for, it's all this is for men. And so it's really interesting. Like, so when you say like they take it personally, which I fully agree with, it's like, this isn't about you. This is like, let's look at the bigger picture here. Right. And, they're so conditioned and accustomed to like needing that validation, needing that approval. Like, oh, it's not all men. I want to feel approved and validated. Because I was never taught how to give that to myself.
Yeah. Or you're a mama's boy, right? Just like the little lingo, if you were connected to the feminine and were nurtured by your mother, you're bullied.
Yes. Oh, you're emotional. Don't cry. You're a pussy. Think about like, you're a pussy. Like the most powerful, the most powerful energy that exists on this planet that literally gives birth to you. And you're going to use that as a weakness, as an insult. But yeah, it is so true. I mean, I've even, I've noticed this in like client sessions as well with mediumship. There was someone talking about, one of my clients, she was talking about how her son had passed. And her other son had a really difficult time because he wasn't able, what I was being shown through her deceased son was that his brother was unable to really process his emotions because their dad was not a bad person, but just would say to him, don't cry. Like you can do this, be tough. And so he wasn't able to like fully process his emotions, and they've been festering for years. And it's just interesting, like how, I mean, this is like a whole conversation, right? Like with so many different pathways here, but like how when we cross over too, we see everything so clearly, and how important it is to be embodied in the physical experience, to be integrated, to integrate our feelings and our emotions and to process them. And I think that's where this collective purge is really hitting the masculine energy, like full stop.
Yeah. And I think this is like such a great loop around to the beginning and almost like an ending. But I even just, when you said that, reflected on where am I purging the masculine, and it's working.
Mm-hmm.
work, 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 work. And I'm like,
Yeah.
today I'm going to get off this call and I'm going to chill.
Yeah.
And there's this level of trust of just being right now is where that abundance is going to come. And it's
Mm-hmm.
reworking that narrative in the brain of like, but money, 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 you need to work, work, work. And I think that's part of us shedding that masculine as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, doing, right? Because masculine energy is doing and activating. And so, yeah, just when you said that, I was like, you know what? Yeah, that's so true. Of like, I'm stepping back so much and I'm just allowing. And the brain is like, well, are you depressed? Are you being lazy? And it's like, no, I'm just experiencing
Mm-hmm.
what my body wants to experience.
And observing it. Like, okay, this is how I'm feeling today. I think about this with meditation too. So many people get tripped up on meditation because they're like, oh, it's so hard to do. I can't focus. And it's like meditation has become this doing, this masculine thing. Like, well, it's an action to take. Sit here and meditate versus just being. Like you can connect in and receive the same information in just laying in bed and closing your eyes and listening to high frequency music. Or I love listening to Enya. I get a lot of downloads when I listen to Enya. I think it's a beautiful way to connect. And I don't feel like I'm doing anything. I'm just being, and I'm being present in the moment. And I think like that's what I've noticed with even just like the spiritual business. It's like it still becomes, just because it's a spiritual business doesn't mean it doesn't still have, I'm not still prone to patterns from the patriarchal business side of things.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. I mean, my husband even like gently tries to call me out and is like, didn't we like leave corporate America so we aren't doing the same thing? And I'm like, you're right. And that's been a journey.
Yep.
Because I was like, well, it's only this business is our only income. Like we need a and it's like, no, it will though. And I think that
Yeah.
that's why even this weekend, like the self-doubt is because you always hear right before you leap, right before you're really about to go,
Mm-hmm.
all that shit comes up and you almost resist. And I think that's
Yes.
part of that doing is like when you really step back and just be, that's the biggest lesson that we've been programmed
Yes.
out of.
100%. And I think that's what we need to remember with like all the chaos, all the noise and the distractions. There are so many competing narratives out there. People are fighting each other. People are saying, this is right, that's right. If this is right, then that can't be right. And it's like, what happens when we just step away from what we're consuming, when we step away from the noise and we just, like I was just telling Lauren earlier what I'm planning to do after this call, because I've just been feeling like super scattered as well. Like I am going to watch a movie and go to bed, and it's going to be a Disney movie. And we need these moments to like just completely unplug and just be in our bodies and just experience how it feels to be. Like what's coming up right now. I'm sensing some anxiety. I'm sensing a sense of feeling unsettled right now. And just sit with those. Like I think this is like a big, massive collective, like sitting with the discomfort right now.
That's so real. And just, yeah, the chaos, the urge for me to get off social media is so real. And I'm like, I'm in the tornado. I don't want to be in the tornado.
I know. And like getting pulled into other people's vortices too. Like my mom said something to me the other day that just kind of I noticed myself reacting. And I was like, I knew what I was saying when I said it, and I still said it. And I knew that was from my own wounding. She was coming at me from her wounding too. But I was like, but I'm conscious enough of this that I should be, I know what I'm doing here, and I know how I should have responded. And it just sent me into this like spiral of like, I got pulled into her vortex. And like, then I spent 3 days trying to recenter myself and come out of her vortex and come back to me. And I think that's like, my therapist helped me like kind of figure that out. And it's like, yeah, you can't control what someone says. You can control how you respond and how you allow it to impact your own energy. Like, are you absorbing it as your own? And I found myself like, oh my God, this isn't even mine. Like, I'm absorbing hers. This isn't mine. And now I need to take time to like come back to myself, when in the first place, like that wasn't necessary to begin with, but here we are. So I think it's like a lot of people are getting sucked into different vortices right now that don't belong to them.
Yeah. Yeah. And it just, I'm trying to think back to like what we said this episode, because I feel like everything was like Like
Oh,
if
I
you
know.
put a picture and then you like connected all the lines
Yeah.
to just like the false narratives and just then getting swept in it and then finding our sovereignty and our free will. Like everything is so real right now.
It's so real. And it's like, it's too much. Like, I feel like I can hear the overwhelm in my voice. I can hear it in yours. It's like, it's very, I think it's necessary for both of us after this to like do what we need to do and not force anything. Just because that's also how, and not just for both of us, but like for people in general, we can't pour from an empty cup. So like if I'm feeling depleted, if I'm feeling scattered, like I'm over here and I'm over here and I'm over here, I don't feel like I can still show up in the way I need to, but it's not really sustainable. Like, and I don't want to show up in that energy. So it's like, okay, how can we reevaluate and take a step back and just say like, okay, this is what I need today, and and like that's the feminine too.
Yeah, I was going to say that, and that's literally patriarchy. Why we're all burnt out and sick,
Yeah,
is because we're forcing ourselves to do things that we're not ready for. So
yeah.
oh man, yeah, that big exhale. Just we get to experience this, and wow,
We
I
do,
love
and I do too. I love you. We are on this journey together, and I'm so grateful for everyone who's on this with us, and just in all the different ways. I also just want to say quickly, I am launching my membership this week. So I'm sending out an email to everyone who's ever had a session with me, but also people who have like put their email in to be on my email list. So I just want to put that out there for anyone who might be listening. Updates are on my website too. So very exciting.
Awesome. I'm so excited. I feel like September is going to be big for a lot of spiritual businesses in the sense of people are just turning things on. If you want to learn astrology, we start October 1st. I haven't launched that, but that will come in September.
Yay.
You're launching your membership. I know other people who are starting some businesses. Like it's just, I don't know. And that's eclipse energy right there. Like starting fated things that are just so soul aligned. And your membership is going to be so helpful for people as we enter into this energy next month.
Oh my God, totally. And like right back, I'm like, okay, I want to sign up for your astrology course. I'm like, we need to figure out like more trading to do. And there's so much.
The bartering is so real. Which
it's so real.
We have so many things we could talk about in the next episode. We could talk about the feminine patriarchy. We talk about bartering, like creating the parallel system with the system, because that's how we're going to get out of this system. And yeah, oh my God, I do want to, okay. Last thing, because I know it's but the bartering, I find it so fascinating because, a lot of people are coming out and talking about we need to create the parallel system, and there's leaders and they're doing it and it's amazing and it's beautiful. And it just makes me really think of like when I do see videos of maybe someone crashing out and spiraling around the current administration. And then it's this weird experience of watching both timelines go, if that makes sense. Like the parallels of the things happening actively. It's really fascinating.
It is fascinating, and it's clearer than ever. We should definitely talk about this on the next episode with the splitting prism and I want to talk about timelines. I'm like ready to talk more about it because it's getting so obvious, and like I've had a lot of people ask like they've been losing relationships, people have been falling away from their lives, and then other people are asking like, well, what happens to the people who get left behind, who can't like quote unquote ascend to 4D or 5D? And it's like there are so many misnomers out there about all this. I feel like we should talk about this in the next episode.
Okay. When we record tomorrow, we'll be live. So we'll talk about that. And then I think at the end of last week, we talked about unconscious like agreements, which we kind of talked about in this one, but I feel like we could also explore
that more. That sounds good to me. Yeah. That's going to be juicy.
Cool. Well, I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Well, thank you guys for listening.
Thank you guys. We'll talk to you soon.